Hello and welcome back to End to End, the podcast where we talk about all things funny and a few things not. I'm your host, Duha. Joining me, as always, are the Lightning Rabbit,
Uh-huh.
Cabral,
Hi.
Firebolt,
Hello.
and Extra Man, the most important one of all.
Hello.
He is taking the spot of our guest, who would normally be here, but isn't, because we don't have
I'm
a
an
guest this time.
expert on animation, so that's what we're going to be doing this episode.
You
Well,
sound just like lightning
since
rabbits.
you are...
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah, since Extra Man is apparently an expert in animation, let's talk about animation.
Yeah.
After all, there have been a number of fairly impressive ones coming out recently, and we...
Well, animation started back in the early 1900s, if not late 1800s.
Wait,
Originally,
what?
it was a picture slideshow, started in France, actually. I wish I was kidding, but no, what happened was they had a slideshow of a guy on a bicycle. I think that's like the very first animation there was, because it was still pictures, and they had the thing spin and show light through. Anyways,
This is
Yes.
Makes sense.
surprisingly historical. I didn't think we were going to go that in depth, but okay.
well, I mean, I know history. I know animation history and film and any kind of entertainment.
It's great to learn because knowledge is
It's
power.
great to learn. So, kids,
Obviously-
you stay in college, you little whippersnappers of the devil.
Yeah, no, obviously animation continued on through shorts before films, primarily focused on children,
Yeah, the
until
first,
eventually...
Of the night.
Yeah,
and then what ended up happening, we got our first full-length animation thanks to Disney.
yes,
Yeah.
we also started getting more mature animations by companies like Warner Brothers.
Actually, Disney had some mature stuff. I mean, did you see Bambi? His mother was shot in front of him.
No, I mean like
Sorry.
cartoon, like Looney Tunes, like the cartoons designed to be to have jokes in them
Crass,
that
to
were
be
meant
loony.
to be funny to an adult audience.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Popeye
But
was supposed to be meant for
not,
adult
adult
audiences
audience.
as well.
Have you not seen the original Mickey Mouse stuff?
Yeah, no, well, some of that stuff is dark, but like Warner Brothers was one of the first to really target adults as opposed to children as a.
Yeah, but the thing is also they were clean about it as well, so children could watch it.
Yeah. I mean, they
I just
didn't want to
wouldn't
get
understand
censored,
it.
but like the focus was on trying to make something that adults would enjoy.
Yeah,
Mm.
we don't see a lot of anymore today. Actually, it's really kind of a shame that.
Well, you do kind of have. Well, okay, you don't have as much stuff that's. Well, actually, you do. You do have things that are designed to be enjoyed by.
Well, there definitely are. I mean, actually, recently I would say Gravity Falls, Legend of Korra, and a couple other cartoons.
Adventure Time. You may not like it, but it is
A
a
couple of
show.
other
I
cartoons.
didn't like that.
Doesn't matter if you don't like
Isn't-
it. It
isn't
still
this
is a
the
show.
whole point of
It's-
My Little Pony. Is
I was
that
like,
it's
You've
missed out one fairly big one, which is the reason we do this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but also I want to mention Adventure Time because the thing is, I don't like Adventure Time because of the comedy, but there's something I do love about it, and it's the backstory. Adventure Time has a deep, dark backstory I fell in love with.
Yeah, it's
It's a
surprisingly heavy stuff.
post-apocalyptic world. I never
Yeah.
would
It's
have
also,
guessed that.
a cartoon series primarily, like it's on a children's cartoon station, but it deals with issues like marriage, having children, settling down, raising a family. Like that's not just like something that one of the characters has having as part of their characterization initially. There's
Yeah.
an entire storyline that happens over several seasons of one of the main characters essentially getting married, having kids, raising a family. But that's just something he's doing.
All of those boring things that kids don't like doing.
All those boring things like.
Even though
And
that's how they
kids
came
love it
about,
because
that's
Adventure Time is awesome. The point is, animation's come a very long way from
Oh,
those,
it definitely has. It
French
went from
bicycles.
hand-drawn animate. It went from pictures to hand-drawn. We went to cell animation, and then we went into computer animation, which is
The work
over
flows so much
what-
quicker nowadays.
isn't like 90% of the market computer animation now?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And
not
the,
more.
the interesting thing is with that move, animation's become significantly less complicated. Well, okay, it's way more complicated in different
No,
ways.
it definitely is
but
because
it's easier for a smaller group of people to come up with a
There you go.
high-budget animation without having to spend, dozens and hundreds of hours hand drawing every frame.
Chopping down every
Yeah,
single
exactly.
tree in the rainforest.
but in some ways also it's kind of come at a price I've noticed too. Like the hand animation, they seem more fluid and lifelike in some ways. I mean, a lot of them were over like what is it like over jelliness. They're like I don't
Yeah.
know extravagant. What is it? I'm thinking like jelly for some reason. Anyways, yeah, but also it's another thing as well. It's raised up a whole new industry in some ways because computer animation, you don't need to be able to have art skills in some ways, like because it used to be all hand-drawn.
Yeah, you do. 'Cause
You do, I understand, but
Animation's done by people who don't have any sense of aesthetics or art.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I understand it is, but it's different because you're not drawing the image yourself.
you still have someone drawing the images. Like the thing is,
Yeah.
you don't have people hand drawing the images, but artists are still artists when they're drawing
Mhm.
things. I mean, like vector artists aren't actually artists because they're just tracing over other people's work.
Well,
But,
no,
you
they're
know,
not.
artists
That's
who
not
use-
entirely true.
Digital programs in order to make their art are definitely still artists.
Definitely.
That
They
vector
just let you,
artists
like,
come under digital artists.
Yeah.
My point
You
is
don't
that,
see a lot of hand-drawn animation
in
today.
fact, actually, well, Children of the Night is a good example of the fact that you do have to be an artist because it's all like all of the what's it called? Oh crap, I can't remember what they're called now.
Aesthetics?
The sources, like the character puppets and things like that. It's all
Oh,
done by them
yes.
with tablets and stuff. You have to be an artist to animate.
Oh yeah,
still.
yeah. There are artists who draw this stuff, and they are
Mhm.
like fantastic artists. And then they have some hack vector people go in and just scribble over them in order to make
He
them
really
look.
has a problem with vector
Jeez.
artists.
Yeah. Lightning, I think he's directing all this at you.
Yeah, I think so. When was the last time you vectored a picture, Duhan?
I don't need to, because unlike you, I take pride in my work.
What
You're not an
work?
artist.
Do
Yeah.
art?
What do you do?
I think he just gets people to do his work.
Actually, I do draw. I did draw comics.
Pixar
I
didn't
Oh,
just
you
have
draw
show,
them.
stick figure comics?
I just draw them all on paper, so I can't actually show them to people because unless they happen to be in my local area, because I
As
can't
I
actually.
say,
scan.
using the old principle that I think Albert Einstein came up with, which is pics or it didn't happen. I can't believe you until I see pics.
Okay, sure. Next time, well, when I see you in person, I will actually draw you a characterized version of yourself.
Can you draw me a muffin eating a cupcake?
I can try.
I think that was already a thing. Didn't Mytho do that already?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Mytho made muffin versions of me, the Brony Gamer, and Alex, the Lightning Rabbit.
Me.
Yeah. So yeah, he didn't he make you as like as sort of like a marshmallowy bunny cupcake?
God
Or,
only knows. I don't remember now. Probably.
Well, at any rate,
How can you
Mythos and
forget those muffins? They were adorable.
Because
I
it was
am
ages ago. Lots of things have happened since then.
It's
Like-
been like 2 months or something, 3 months.
Think of
maybe
all the things that have happened in that time. Syria didn't do anything particularly interesting.
4. Politics. Let's avoid talking about them.
I was
So,
like,
I
I
we're talking about animation.
But yeah,
gonna
the
say,
point
we
I was
went
trying to.
off onto a completely different tangent with animation as opposed to just talking about the stuff we were supposed to be
I
talking.
mean, I started off the whole thing on animation and where it originated.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
I
a
think
bit
the point
too
we were
deep.
trying. Yeah, it was a bit too deep. The point I was trying to make that was supposed to drag us back onto topic was that over time we have got to a point where smaller groups of people can make high quality animation.
Mm.
For instance, within this very community, there is a large number of people who do relatively high quality animations.
Well, thank you.
Relatively.
Relatively, I mean, let's face it. Some of the stuff is really, really good, and a lot of it is
Really, really not good.
really, really not good. There's a lot, like, even though the good stuff tends to not exactly be, well, professional grade quality, there are some people who do professional and even better grade quality animations. But
Children of the Night.
yeah, just because of the fact that they are extraordinarily hard to do, and generally you can get paid a fair bit of money for doing them. Yeah, most people don't bother putting in that sort of effort for a full-length thing.
It's understandable.
Yeah, for fandom, because you're doing an actual job for no money.
Yeah. It's not like
opposed to this,
any of
which
us
is-
do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, it isn't like we do actual jobs for no money, but,
Yeah. It's
I mean,
not like
to
we
be
do
fair,
that all the time every week. This episode needs to go out one.
well, when we should be recording every week for these episodes to go out.
Yeah.
But hey, shut up.
They'll do.
He's so kind and loving.
To be fair, most professional paid podcasters actually do like shows every day or like 5 days a
Yeah.
week or something. So
Because
we
they're being
are
paid
like
for it.
exceptionally lazy podcasters if we were to start complaining that we're doing a professional job.
We're
Oh,
very professional.
it wouldn't be professional unless we were being paid, so we're definitely not professional.
Yeah.
Then the fact that I'm here, so that just lowers professionalism down to, well, I
Well,
don't know if there's anything lower than.
Smaller.
Your
than-
words, not mine. They are.
Right.
Said
Point
nothing.
is, that
Poignancy.
small groups can actually make really, really good looking stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
We've obviously all seen some amazing things that the community's done. If you're watching Muffin Lemon Productions, chances are you've probably seen some of them already.
What?
Time you've seen maybe Epic Wub Time or Epic Pie Time or
Dawn's Dusk.
the Cupcakes animation or the stuff that what the heck is it?
Doctor Who's Adventures.
No, Silly Philly Studios. Yeah, and Doctor Who's Adventures.
No, Doctor Who's an assistant. Sorry, Adventures
And
is
that's the radio play.
Mm.
But yeah, no, there are a whole bunch of super high quality animations. Oh, and Mr. Poninator's stuff. He does, like all these like 5-minute animations.
Oh yes.
So yeah, this community turns out a lot of high quality animation. Recently, a whole bunch of it came out all at once. And if you wanted to see super in-depth looks at a bunch of these, they're probably either out or will be coming out from the Animation Station
Yeah.
on this very channel.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Soon.
Great
Soon-ish.
segue there. That's
That's not a segue.
Segues.
That's a
well,
that's a plug.
a segue to a plug. I'm going to call it that.
Okay. Anyway, one of the
Segues are
ones that
slow.
came out. It's
Yeah.
not the oldest one that we're going to talk about that came out, like the least recent one, but it is one that is pretty interesting. And what I actually didn't see, like most of these I saw coming from a while back, because the people who worked on them had big teams and were, working on these for a while and really plugging them on any site they could, show trailers.
Oh
of.
yes.
But Epic Rage Time.
Oh yeah.
That sort of came out of nowhere, at least for me. I don't know if you guys saw it coming.
Well, I never even heard of it until you linked me to it like 30 minutes ago. So
I only saw
Well, yeah,
it on
because
EQD.
the thing is that they weren't even. That's not what they said was going to be the next one. They said they wanted to have Epic Crossover Time be the next over one that they wanted to do, and that was the one that had the MLP Jackie Chan Adventures.
that's
crossover
right, Jackie
in
Chan
it.
Adventures. I missed
Oh,
I
it.
yeah.
think they said that would be the last big thing from LP. So I think Rage Time is kind of their. Let's do one other thing before we do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Plus the fact that it was actually really well done animation, I must say.
Yeah, it's by the guys who did Epic Pie Time and Epic Meal. Epic Pie Time and Epic.
Epic Web Time.
Cupcake Time.
I don't think they did. Oh yeah, Epic Cupcake Time, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's those people that. Yes.
It's No More Than 9 is the name of the group. I think actually now they're going by what, Alligator Tub?
Yeah, now they're
Studio?
alligator
Yeah.
productions.
Yeah, they like
Okay.
alligators, bathtubs, and bubbles.
Yep.
Just like you are.
I'm certain that's why they decided to name it.
Yes, it's clearly why. They named
But
it.
it's actually a surprisingly interesting little animation because they took some choices going into it that I haven't actually seen happen as frequently with a lot of other animations.
Yeah, no one had a laser shooting out of Derpy's eyes before like that.
Okay, well, yeah, that is
That's a good
certainly
point.
one thing. I was actually talking more about the fact that they are one of the few people who actually really went with kind of the original unedited show voice for Derpy. Most
Well, that's just it was Ball Dumbarat that did it, right?
I believe so.
She's her voice for Derpy is probably the closest there is to canon.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people will go with either a higher pitch, kind of softer voice, or a much lower, voice. Whether they're, depending on whether or not they're trying to, play up the idea of her as being mentally handicapped, or whether they're trying to downplay the idea of her as mentally handicapped. Like this is one of the few versions of the character I've heard where, she really just goes with the original, unedited voice essentially. It isn't exaggerated in either direction, which is kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it definitely was an interesting direction. And as I said earlier, the animation was really well done. Actually, in the fan base, it's one of the higher ones that I've seen personally. I do like the subtle things that you see in there, though some of it does. What is it? In animation, a lot of the small animations they used, possibly like the cracks on the ground or was it the flames I'm thinking of, were repeated throughout the thing. So
Yeah, well,
But that's
obviously-
done. That's done in more shows than this, obviously. So it's just for easy use instead of creating whole new puppets and rigs and blah.
Yeah, that would be ridiculously unproductive. That would just be silly. If they tried to create new rigs for every single tiny animation.
Yeah.
unit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when that fire happened in Bambi. That was all hand-drawn fire.
Yeah, well, see, what I found particularly nice about this one is that instead of going for what's called the double rainbow thing of trying to shove in as many cameos and little inside jokes as possible, they really just hyper-focused on making a very smooth, very high quality looking animation.
It was definitely smooth. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not the point of what these ones are, and actually this one was a lot different than Epic Pie Time, Epic Cupcake Time, because it was
Is a short,
was-
self-contained story rather than a kind of parody of a show.
right.
All the other videos they've done have been, two of them were obviously in the were parodies of the Epic Mealtime videos,
Right.
and Epic Love Time was sort of that mixed with the reality TV show documentary.
Yeah.
Uh,
And this one was actually like a narrative.
yeah,
Which
this
was-
was essentially like maybe what you'd get if you had a 5-minute, shorty version of an episode.
Right.
It's a very short story with a small cast of characters being done in a point A, point B, point C storytelling style.
Mm. The animation
exactly.
is very good, actually. I've just been watching back through it, and while this isn't the animation station, so you'll be able to see it on the screen, at 2:06 they have a lovely perspective, kind of mock 3D type thing going on as she runs towards the camera.
Yeah, they do some fun things with perspectives, which is really nice.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
obviously the
actually.
laser eyes are pretty cool. I don't know whether that was animated in Flash or After Effects in afterwards,
It
because
does
sometimes
seem
it
like
can
it'd
be
be
done.
something in. Yeah, it does seem like something to be After Effects, but it could be very well be Flash as well.
Yeah, it could be easily animated in both.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to tell the difference. I'm pretty sure it's Flash though.
Yeah, and while it clearly has some little, oddnesses that make it obvious that it's a fan project as opposed to a, high-grade professional one, it is, even on the list of all these videos that we're looking at right now, one of which is probably higher quality animation. This one probably feels the most show-like.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
one
it
really
definitely
feels
does feel
like,
more show-like than
Yeah.
most of the other animations
Mm.
you see in the fan base. A lot of them are in some ways, I want to say like choppy in some ways. Like
yeah, well,
the movements and what they're doing definitely seem like that. Oh, by the way, I just remembered that trailer that you were talking about. I have seen it. Was that the one with the stairwell and Celestia and Derpy?
Yes. That
Yes,
was the
it
other
was.
one that
I
was
did see it,
Project
actually.
Thunder something.
Yeah.
Thunder.
Okay, I have seen that.
Yeah, in fact, I'd say Epic Rage Time, the animation's definitely improved from the other ones, and I'd say that it's not quite on par with the level of detail in something, for instance, like Jan Animations' work, but it's definitely, like...
It feels more like the show than you'd get with just about anyone else.
You'd be hard-pressed to actually be able to tell the difference for the most part. There's very little that... there are telltale signs that mean that it's definitely not show animation, but
Yeah.
for the most part,
Right.
it's really solid. There's nothing really, there's no discrepancies with it. There's definitely no
Yeah.
errors I can't see.
I mean, it's just one of those things where you watch it and compare it to something else. Like we're comparing it to the show. The reason, like, it just doesn't look like a show. It's something you can't necessarily describe in some ways.
Some of it comes down to actually just the way that they do tricks.
That too, as well.
One of the things that I always point out when it comes to going like, well, this thing, for some reason, even though it was higher quality, it didn't feel like it felt like the show. And the reason for that you sometimes get with these feelings with things is that you'll occasionally have these problems where they'll work really hard to get a thing that looks like the show, but then they forget about these little details like when there's when someone tackles someone else in the show, in order to make it look smoother, they will always kind of partially obscure it. Like they'll use blur lines, they'll use clouds of dust, but they'll obscure it in order to, and like then bend the models in a way in order to make them, feel more like there's a collision. Whereas most fan makers will basically just draw the two characters colliding, which again looks more, realistic. It's more like what would actually happen, but it doesn't look right because that's not how, a professional animation company would do it. They'd obscure it.
It's collision and weight. My Little Portal had a problem with this. I don't know whether
Oh,
it's
you
fixed now,
definitely
but
did, yeah.
it's obviously when you jump, you don't just land, and there's when you jump and land, there's you contract your legs and you
Otherwise
take
you
the
break
weight
a lot of
off.
bones.
Yeah, but in My Little Portal, it was literally there was no weight to it, so they just stopped dead, and there was no bending of the muscles or anything to counter the fall or anything.
hmm
So, its weight.
But she's got the long fall boots.
Yeah. Well, that's what we thought.
You're still
but-
gonna have an effect from that. Did you not play the game? You still bounce.
Yeah, there is a
There's
little bit
springs
of
on the bottom of
bounce
those
still.
things.
I mean, we did think about that, but there should
Yeah.
be a little bit of bounce.
There should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that and
the long,
collisions basically.
the whole idea of the long fall boost is essentially that big old spring at the back is kind of there to absorb the impact.
Yeah.
So it isn't that you're just stopping abruptly; it's that the boots are actually bending
Yeah.
under the weight of the impact, but
Exactly.
preventing that jarring strike from.
I don't know
shattering
how
the
well
boots.
that would actually work in.
Yeah, it
real
probably
life.
wouldn't at all. But that's the thing; it's
Yeah.
aperture
Yeah, probably
science.
wouldn't, but it's just video game logic. So
It's Portal. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
perfectly
aperture
fine.
science. Aperture
plot
science
device.
is all about things that should not work and basically hand waving it by saying, "Shut up, we made it work."
Yeah.
Like in universe, that is how they do things.
Yeah.
Which
Exactly.
works. That's why
So-
Portal's so darn funny.
Yeah.
that reminds me of that terrible fan fiction with Portal, Transformers, and ponies. Anyways,
Oh god. Anyway, yeah. So
Anyway, but
that's generally what the problems are with animation. Is also puppets. Like some of
oh
them.
yes, puppet rigs as well.
Particularly Double Rainbow, the puppets we agreed were kind of sloppy
mm,
compared to other rigs that people have made up. The Double Rainbow ones had quite a few problems with them that were visible throughout the whole thing. So puppet rigs and collision and the feeling of
Weight.
weight in characters is
Yeah,
important.
weight is something a
Objects.
lot of people don't always have in their animations. I've noticed, especially in the fan
Yeah.
ones.
it can be easy to screw up. This is also something that you'll kind of find out if you ever work in video games, is that when you're building models in games, one of the most important things you have to work on is physics. Because
Oh,
in
yeah.
a game space or in an animation space, there are no real world, like inherently, there are no real world physics you're just dealing with right off the bat. You have to enforce every form of, gravity, movement, the way objects bounce off each other, the way, weight works. All of that is entirely you, and you have to be thinking about all of that. And most people don't even actually think about that until it comes out. And even after they come out with it, they'll realize that something's not quite right,
Mm.
but they don't realize what it is because it's just one of those tiny little things that we're so accustomed to just having
Mm.
work in the real world that when
Yeah.
it doesn't,
I kind of
it
imagine that.
feels weird.
I kind of imagine it's probably even harder animation because in games, or at least official game company releases and things like that, they will build into their engine physics so that it's easier to work with. Whereas animation, Flash doesn't know what physics is. It doesn't.
Yeah, you have to create physics as you go. You have to visually
Yeah, it's
see
even
it
harder
and
there
know
because the
how it
individual
works.
animator has to know how physics works and has to do
Exactly.
it.
And you have to have the thing where you have to figure out where the physics works, but you also have to kind of make the decision of where do I want to apply physics? Because the thing is, there are many
exactly.
things in animation that you really can't apply real world physics to, or else it will start looking weird and overly noodly.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
realistically, a lot of things should bounce around in a way that they can't. They can in animation, but you can't make them do that without the whole thing becoming either needlessly overcomplicated or kind of weirdly, floppy looking. So yeah, animation isn't easy.
But
But
No, it
double-
isn't.
A bit like Double
But
Rainbow,
for some
actually.
people, actually, it just clicks for them. Like that,
Yeah.
all that weight stuff we've been talking about and everything. For some people, it just clicks for them. They understand it.
Some
Yeah.
people are better at other things than other people are. I'd say Double Rainbow had a problem with bounciness. All the characters bounce.
yeah, they did
overly.
have this.
I hate to rip
You
Double
really,
Rainbow
really
another new
hate Double
one.
Rainbow. But,
It's already repaired the last new one that I ripped it, and now I'm ripping another new one. So it's it's not really my fault. It's just that's the prime example for all that's wrong in animation. I mean, that's not.
I thought that would be Dust Dawn.
That's not quite what I meant. No, Dusk Dawn actually, it's for what they had to work with. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I do agree.
Considering none of
It's-
them are professional grade anything, they've done really well.
So basically, you're saying it's kind of like the thing where, sure, Manos: The Hands of Fate is kind of completely awful, but at least you can kind of look at it and go yeah, these guys have $300, and the director and screenwriter is also the main villain, and clearly this is basically just a guy who is you know, like these are a very small group of people who are trying their best to make a movie with nowhere near the resources they want,
Yeah.
which makes the whole thing a hell of a lot less depressing to watch than Transformers 2, where you know that billions of dollars and some of the most talented people in the industry, they included, all came together and created something that's just kind of awful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'll give credit where it's due. The animation, like I say, it wasn't actually. Considering obviously the animator wasn't Jan Animations or anything like that, the animation wasn't that bad. It still did things right. It just did things wrong as well. The story was kind of, you could see where it was going, but it was kind of
Thing is, it didn't do things
interesting.
right,
Like
but it did do things wrong.
it was a cliche storyline, but I kind of would have liked to have seen where it went anyway. It just had a weird kind of endearing thing that made you want to watch another episode.
I
This
like
song.
the song.
Yeah, it had a good song as well. I'm glad they put a musical number in there because that was a nice touch.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said for bad things that at least have a lot of spirit.
Yeah, like J Bond's stories, right, Lightning?
Yeah, well, the thing is, J-Bon's stories are actually bad. I don't consider Dusk's Dawn bad per se. It's just not good. that's not entirely what I mean. But you know, it's not. It's kind of a neutral type thing because it's enjoyable if you watch it round the first time, but it's not like some things where it's just grating to watch. I didn't mind it actually. In fact, I'm glad
Yeah,
I
I
did give
do
it a
agree.
chance.
It wasn't grating to watch. It wasn't bad. It didn't
Yeah.
hurt.
It's
other
it's
things.
funny bad.
No,
In
it
some
was-
ways, yeah.
It had some like I think I might have laughed once or twice at some of the things that were slightly kind of wacky in the
I
animation
like
or
the
whatever.
fan
But
made trailer of Dust Dawn because it was a parody of the
Mm.
series, and they made a trailer, and it was
Mm.
hilarious.
yeah,
I don't know if you guys ever seen that.
no, I didn't. No.
Oh my gosh, you have to see it. It's a parody of the trailer for Dust Dawn. It was hilarious.
Basically, what I'm saying basically what I'm saying is it's not inherently bad, and I don't really mind it at all. It's just because we're comparing it to such like behemoths as you know,
Yeah, I get you.
or behemoths or whatever the fucking hell the word
Behemoths.
is.
Yes,
Damn.
they're
The
really,
Goliaths of
they're
entertainment.
really
When-
fat.
When you're
animation.
when you're thinking of like Jan Animations and Children of the Night, whoever it was that did that, those two guys.
That was Silly Philly Studios, wasn't it?
No, Children of the Night was two independent people. It was they have like online names. But I
Oh
can't
yeah, now I know
remember.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Spirit and Lionheart. So yeah, like when you compare it to that, it's not very good. But on its own, if you take everything else out of the equation, it's not half bad. And I wouldn't have minded if they'd made more. Like they have frame by frame animation, so or in some sections. So it's actually like, you know, they put effort into it. They just didn't have the right tools to make it something like Children of the Night. I can't really fault them on it. It was a good
Hey,
start.
at least they couldn't have been worse writers than Jan, so you know, there's that at least.
They could, yeah. What about Zachary Rich, Double Rainbow?
No one is a worse. Well, he's he's terrible, but he's kind of terrible in a way where he's at least like got some talent. He's just squandering it badly, and needs an editor. Like really,
Yeah.
really like worse than the Mass Effect 3 ending writers needed an editor. This guy needed an
I
editor.
can be an editor.
No,
He went
well,
round
actually,
the
yeah, they're
campus.
about it.
He went round the campus.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say I'm
asked-
not bad at writing actually.
He went around the
Uh.
campus and asked all of his friends whether, or I don't know whether it was just his friends, but he went around and asked loads of people whether the story was good, and they said yes. And personally, I would have said
Oh,
no.
No, it's the thing is he
Yeah,
probably asked his friends. Like I don't think he'd admit that he only
Yeah,
asked
exactly.
his friends. That's the
He-
thing. He probably
Well,
asked his friends. His friends have similar tastes as him. They all went like, "Yeah, dude, this is
dude,
hilarious."
this is like totally radical. You should like animate this or
and
something.
yeah, you know, there'd be like that one dude who's like, "Yeah, I don't know, this isn't that great," but he's like, "Hey, whatever." I got like 50 other people who were like, "Yeah, this is awesome," and,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
do it, and then it's made. And then
But I also wanted to point out, I recently visited my old high school, and this does relate to editing in some ways because I visited my old high school, and my sister and I were talking to an English teacher. I'm looking at papers that she just collected from all the students, and it had to write you know where you took your a spelling word from your vocabulary and put into a sentence.
yeah,
Well, you get like spelling words, and you have to memorize the words and their definition to write them down, like freshman year of high school and stuff like that.
I mean, we
Where's
had
this going?
vocab. I don't know what they do on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, they've already taught you all about vocabulary words by the end of middle school.
Well, I know they have, but I don't know why they haven't actually. But it's more
You
complicated.
get taught all of
words
that
and
stuff in like primary school here. That's
Yeah,
like,
I know you do, but
You,
Like,
you
anyways,
shouldn't like by the time you're out of lower school, you shouldn't have any more vocab words to memorize. You should be speaking at a fairly adult
yeah,
level.
you should be
Yeah, I know.
speaking
Part
at
of
a
going to middle
relatively
school.
competent.
but
Yeah,
anyways,
I mean, you are on the West
it's more than
Coast,
just
but-
like learning
Yeah.
how to spell the word in its definition. Obviously, it's learning. Anyways,
so where is
there's
this
more to
actually
it than just
going?
that. But anyways, look, they were putting the words into sentences, and some of them were just stupid. I mean, what was one of them? Wait, what was it? Isn't it ironic the events that happened in World War II? I'm like, that's a sentence? That's not a sentence.
It's not the word that I would have used to describe World War
Ironic?
II. for
No,
sure.
it's not ironic. The
Exactly.
only irony in World War II was the fact that the French, had their entire country destroyed because of the reparations they wanted to
Yeah,
rebuild their
because of the
country after the
reparations
Germans
that
blew it
they-
up.
surrender.
Instilled, so it's entirely their fault.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the only irony you could probably bring in is the fact that the reason that Germany was so economically crippled was partly because France wanted reparations in order to rebuild their
Yeah.
country after the First World
And then
War.
Hitler played on
And
it
so
was
the
like, right.
Second World War decimating their country because of the money they needed in order to rebuild that they want to rebuild their country is ironic because
Yeah.
they took money to rebuild, which ended up getting
But
them
that's
destroyed.
where
That is an
irony ends. Like there is a
Yeah,
lot more
exactly.
irony in World War II.
Yeah.
No, the irony is that the French decided to fight against the Germans. Anyways, no. But
That's
They
not
didn't fight-
irony.
I
Yeah,
know,
because they
it's not
didn't fight
irony.
against the Germans. They gave up.
Okay,
You're
so
right.
the second irony would be French army.
Yeah.
But also no, I wanted to point out also there's another sentence in there, and they kept. I don't know why everyone kept saying this though. I don't know where this phrase came from, but it was ironic that the lifeguard drowned in the bathtub. And I'm going,
well,
like,
Well,
what?
maybe more ironic if the lifeguard drowned in the ocean because that's
Yeah,
what,
I mean it's just
like-
ironic that he drowned in general, but why in the bathtub? Like I went through the papers, like 6 of them, if not more, had that. I'm like, what?
no. What I would use for irony, ironically, it was as the guy, the alcoholic was heading over to the rehab center that he got hit by a drunk driver.
now that's
Yeah,
irony.
That's irony right there.
Okay. I was going to say on the subject of Zachary Rich, he's
But
bringing
anyways,
out a new animation called True Tale as well. So
That's gonna be points, but oh well.
Oh yeah, the furry thing.
yeah, that could go either way. It's got a nice soundtrack and the character models look okay. I'll watch
If you're into
it.
that, I guess.
Speaking of nice character models and
Where's that?
soundtracks, Children of the Night.
Wait, are you pinning something on me? Because you said if you're into that.
I didn't say.
I just think
merely
the
said-
characters have quite
I
an
merely
interesting
said
design.
you seem to enjoy the models for the furry animation. Hey, if you enjoy those type of models, then more
Okay,
power to
well,
you.
So, does that relate back to the whole MLP thing of if you like
But no,
most
God,
colored
no.
ponies, more power to you?
Okay, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you
Well,
like,
I mean,
I'm not saying you're furry or anything. I'm just saying if you like furry models, and that's your thing.
No,
I like
I'm not
ponies
saying
that- I like-
that.
I like
just-
ponies that are.
You just
full-
said that you like the
It's
models.
got
I mean,
nothing to do with the fact that they're furry models. It's just the fact that
Yeah,
it's
you just
quite an
happen to like
interesting
them.
model.
I
and
love
and
how quiet Fireboat has been.
He's probably not even here anymore. He left.
He
probably took off.
fell asleep. This is nap time at 5 in the afternoon.
It could go either way. I quite like the idea of this. Like, it'll be interesting to see whether
Well,
it
if
goes.
you like that lightning, then that's
I
your
mean-
thing.
I mean, I'm interested to see whether it goes really well or really shit again. So I'm gonna have to bleep that now. God. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, can I say the point I was going to make with all
Yes,
the
you can.
terrible students writing in high school?
Yeah, go ahead.
That was it actually. That terrible students are like writing and everything. I mean, it's come to the point where reviewing some of those papers, there's not a lot of good students with one, good handwriting, which I didn't have in high school. It's gotten better though. And two, just kids who can write. There's not a lot of kids who can write well. I've noticed in high school, which is kind of sad because they're like juniors, I think.
Mm. They can write to a relatively competent level, but they're not anything out
No.
of normal. You mean?
In which high school I was writing short stories still, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
Well, to be
Well,
fair,
just some people
even when I went to
like them.
college, like a lot of those short story writers were god awful. Terrible,
true.
terrible.
I was
Like,
gonna say.
they had like these super stiff dialogue conversations, and they had like these awful plot twists that were like, and then the guy turned the last page, and it was covered in blood. I'm like, yeah, but
Whoa.
why wouldn't the blood have soaked through to the other pages?
Yeah. At
Diary.
least make it
Yeah, I
believable.
mean, what would you do with that? You'd transition it. You'd say like the pages began to darken as they went on. All of a sudden, this page, the shade
that's
of red
pretty- yeah,
began
that
to
would be
appear.
And it's
You
like
see
the
through
the words
page.
eventually, like you can't even read it anymore.
Yeah,
'cause
eventually, no. Eventually, what would happen because there's blood on the last page? The pages would stick together, so you're like, I couldn't rip the pages open to see the last page. The Lord only knows what's on that last page.
Well, here's the thing. By the time it gets to the point where they're sticking together, you wouldn't be able to read it anyway because the ink is smudged because of all the blood.
Exactly, and that's the thing as well. That's where the mystery and the suspense would come in. You
Yeah.
can't read what's
Yeah,
going
you
on.
don't end a diary where a guy gets killed by saying, "Oh my God, something is coming towards me. I will continue writing until it's attacking me."
Nobody does that. Writing does not come before
Hell,
self-preservation.
even if they did, and you wanted to say it was covered in blood, that would all be covered up by the blood.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it would all be in vain. It's weird though, isn't it? Like, because my uncle
Really?
works at a university, and he was saying that a lot of his students, when I was talking to him, he said a lot of his students, well, not a lot, but you get the occasional student who like cannot write or like doesn't have very good vocabulary at all, and it's just like
Yeah,
you
there's
wonder
still
how they
those-
got to that
I mean-
stage when like they can't speak.
Yeah, I get you, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's
was
well,
just
also you have to
surprising.
remember there's a lot of kids who don't even make it to university or
Hmm.
college at all.
Hmm.
A lot of them drop out of high school and just go find work or end up in a gang and shooting everyone else. But the point is,
That's a very broad
that's-
spectrum.
dude. Way to,
I live in
way to
California.
rip on
Please,
poor
the
people.
town next to me is the highest rated town for violence in the U.S. right now.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is actually. I live 10 miles away from it in a small city
about-
full of old people.
What about Detroit or whatever it was? Isn't that worse?
No, they're bankrupt
Yeah,
and
Detroit's
they're
everyone's
worse
just
than
miserable.
Stockton. Yeah.
Well, until RoboCop comes around, at which point,
Yeah.
by that point, everyone's shooting each other, but then RoboCop takes care of it.
They just can't afford RoboCop.
RoboCop.
No one can afford RoboCop. The only ones who can are China, and they can even build him.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
True. Well, no, tries to build a bunch of Ed 209s because
There you go.
that's what they do.
Because that'll sort it. Won't it kill everyone in China before they even get over here? I don't know why I was assuming they were going to attack people.
There goes a third of the world's population.
The problem with the Ed 209 wasn't that it just killed everyone. The problem was that its safety measures weren't in place well enough so that even if you threw down your gun, it would still shoot you.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing is, it's basically a iron-handed, policing device, but it
Are
does.
we talking
still
about
affect
ponies?
people. Okay, the Ed 209 Pony Edition.
Yeah,
God.
it's got the cutie marks on the side.
It's
got
got a cutie mark of
A
death.
throw down your gun cutie mark.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, if it deals with the problem, if they shouldn't have a gun in the first place, I guess it deals with repeat offences. Because there's no way you're going to repeat offence from beyond the grave.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so let's face it, if we have a bunch of Pony Ed 209s, that would take care of
I'd
crime.
buy one.
You're not happy? Die.
Just instant.
Admittedly, I'd rather have Pony RoboCop than Pony Ed 209, but I mean, really,
There's
if it came down to it, I think
something
we'd probably
close.
clean up LA with a couple of those.
Yeah, you probably
yeah,
could.
throw a
Heck,
couple
To
in New
be fair,
York.
like, if
I mean,
we're
that's what
gonna-
Hitler actually did. He killed off all the gangs.
Well, yeah, he killed
Hitler
a load
did
of people.
other things apart from that, but yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
sure
He
probably
killed
But that's how he got
everybody.
the trust of the people. He killed off all the gangs. He spoke a lot.
Yeah, and all the political people. No, I mean, yeah, the thing is that do we really even need Ed 209s? If you're talking about running into a place and killing a load of people, then surely, like, the army can do that on their own.
The army's still people, and people have morals, and then they decide, oh, this is wrong,
Well,
and
drop
then
the
they,
bomb on it, 'cause then they
tear
don't
off their
have to
shirt
do it.
and
It's
pick
like
up
by
a big
proxy.
assault rifle, and then they kill whoever was in charge of the program.
Well, drop a bomb on it.
Well, that doesn't work. You
That's the
try that,
American
and then you
solution.
think
You're
that you
English.
killed
You
them,
can't use that.
but then you go back to your office, and there he is, just covered in burns and stuff. But he's holding up like
Is it-
the radio that your lieutenant was carrying, who ordered the bomb strike, and he's just like, like you ordered this, bam, and he shoots you.
I think What? So we're saying that one human being, just because he's the main character, can survive a large blast?
Yeah, haven't
Yeah.
you seen terrible movies? The main character will always survive. I mean, it's like in Sharknado. That one lady was eaten by a shark in the middle of the air when she fell out of a helicopter because the shark was flying by from the tornado. She was eaten. Later in the film, what happens is the guy who was in the helicopter flying, and he's like, no, because the lady got eaten. He grabs a chainsaw, and the shark's coming right at him. He jumps into the shark's mouth with the chainsaw. The shark lands and dies, and then he cuts the shark open, pulls the lady out, and she's fine.
Oh,
That was the ending of Sharknado.
dude, they totally ripped that off of Pacific Rim, or possibly Pacific Rim totally ripped that off of them. Because
I haven't seen Pacific Rim. But
oh my god, it's so cool! It's so cool.
It has giant robots.
It has giant robots fighting giant monsters with Ron Perlman as.
So I think it's more of like Battle LA, where it's just action.
No, it's like it's super. It's basically it's a giant love letter to kaiju movies, to Japanese kaiju movies. By kind of combining them with American action films
And the GLaDOS voice.
Yeah, they have like the voice of GLaDOS. They have Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as a scientist, and Ron.
So is there a
Perlman
story
plays
in it, or is it just action?
Oh yeah, no, there's a story.
Is it a good story?
Yeah,
It's a little bit silly, but it's good. Yeah.
Okay, a little bit silly. See, I most of the time when you have a film like that where it's just pure action, you're like, it's just gonna be about action. Where's the story?
No. I mean, like the action scenes are amazing, but the story is kind of like, there is a story.
All right, is it better than Transformers?
Yes, significantly.
Everything's better than Transformers. You're in direct violation
better
of
than
penal
Toy
laws.
Like I had a line from Pacific Rim as my Skype quote for a really long time. The whole
Oh, you got rid of it, didn't you?
yeah, I changed it a little bit ago because I wanted to make an impression on our new
get
bosses.
back to work. That sounds
Yeah.
like heavy in the
I have a question then.
This
If
would
we
be
go back to the subject of animation,
okay. Go ahead.
Were we talking about pony animations?
we were.
Unless you want to talk about
Oh wait, real
computer
quick,
animations.
related. While I was at BrightCon,
It
I
is
totally
related
picked-
because Pacific Rim had a ton of computer animation.
Yeah, actually, while I was in
Not
while I was at
CGI,
BrightCon,
it's
like this
like-
is actually a relation that does bring us back to that point. While I was at BrightCon, I actually found a picture done by the guy who does Hot Blade Pinkie Pie Tumblr, who did a picture of Derpy and the Doctor as Jaeger pilots piloting a giant TARDIS Jaeger.
Wow.
Liger Zero.
No, it's like the TARDIS Jaeger. And
Does
the
anyone even remember Zoids, or is it
I
just
do
me?
remember Zoids, but no.
Okay, good.
Jaeger is German for hunter. All the giant robots.
Yeah, I know what Jaeger stands for.
Yeah, and all the Jaegers have awesome names like Gypsy Danger.
Yeah. Is there
And
any
Diablo
reason
Intercept.
for that? Or wait, what was the other?
They're names because all of them have different designations.
Do 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 do.
Crimson Typhoon.
For God's sake.
God, they're so freaking cool.
Is there one that's like painted like a rainbow and it's called? No, I can't.
They actually do have a joke version of this, like the Equestria model, the Equestrian Jaeger. It's rainbow colored and
I don't know why. Ever since I played CS:GO and there's a rainbow-colored Glock, I imagined it was the Gay Pride Glock, and then there was like a gay pride.
it's kind of homophobic of you, Lightning Rabbit.
Oh no! I never said I didn't like gay people. I just say that I associate the rainbow thing now with them because I saw a lot of it.
So you're saying
recently.
Rainbow Dash is gay then?
Well, no.
I don't associate rainbows with gays. I think they use it like too much. I'm like, I just like rainbows.
I don't
Can't I just like
associate
rainbows and
necessarily-
leprechauns?
I don't.
Well, do you not like
Associate-
gay people, Cabral?
Not really.
You don't like gay people?
Not really. They bug
Really?
me sometimes. Yeah.
Wow, dude, way to just absolutely come out with some like legit hate.
And all of our
I
subscribers.
didn't say I hated them. I just said I don't really care for them too much.
You
I
don't-
mean,
What?
So you-
What do you have against gay people?
I don't know.
What? You can't just say, I don't know. You just said
Well,
you
because
don't
we're in a
like the
podcast
entire-
that isn't about that.
Yeah, but you just like there's an entire group of people you just said that you don't like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why? Like, what's the matter with them?
Well, I can't say.
What?
Yeah, we're in a podcast about ponies, not that.
Wait, you're saying you can't talk about it because it's so offensive that it doesn't even belong on end to end?
Yes.
Wow, dude, that's like
Whoa.
legit dark. I know I'm saying this in kind of a funny way because I'm actually kind of shocked right now. Like, this
Yeah,
is,
he's like, I don't even know how
I'm
to
trying
deal
to
with
maintain a professional radio voice while dealing with the fact that I'm actually.
I'm trying to make
shocked.
otherwise his voice would crack severely.
Wait, you have a professional radio voice.
This is
He has
my
a professional
This
radio
is my
voice?
radio voice.
Oh, that's what you've been
I
doing.
am avoiding using
I just
like.
That's
thought you
why he
went
sounds
monotone,
different on
like-
end to end than when we talk to him normally. Because normally he sounds like, "Well, hello everybody, I'm Dan Duhad."
Yeah, the reason for that is that I have done radio at college before, and one of the things that they teach you to do is to develop sort of a voice that you do when you're on the radio, which is a little bit more clear, a little bit more concise. You take a lot of the hums and
Yeah.
haws, you try
And
you
actually,
have a firm cadence to your voice.
yeah, exactly. And actually, that's if everyone's ever noticed in my Let's Plays, I sound different than I do in a lot of Skype calls.
Yes. The point is that you do that in order to, like, the other advantage to it is that it means that even if you have a strong emotional reaction to something, it'll generally come off a lot more mild because you're, maintaining this voice.
Oh no, not my Let's Plays, no, because it's my normal voice, which yeah.
Yeah, admittedly, when I'm doing Let's Plays, I sound a little bit, like, it kind of turns into a blend between this and my actual normal speaking voice.
Which sounds completely different. He's actually French. No.
So,
But
did we actually have a point? Or
we were talking
well,
about pony animation.
we're gonna
We were
talk
going to
about
talk
Children of the
Pacific
Night.
Rims.
oh, we're
Children
going
of
to
the Night,
talk Children of the Night. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
all-
good. There you go. That covers Children of the Night.
There,
I
it was
like
good. Moving on.
Yeah. Well, okay, fair enough. I was actually going to ask about Fall of the Empire and say, have you both seen it? For what?
Yeah, but it's just
What did you think?
it was pretty good. I mean, it's just a trailer though.
Yeah, it was
Well-
definitely just a trailer. I do love what they're doing with the lighting and the whole aesthetics and the backgrounds and everything, but because they focus so much more on that than the animation, if you look at the animation, it doesn't fit with the backgrounds and the scenery and everything. It looks off.
We'll have to have a look again because it's been a while since I saw it.
Well, yeah, think of it as like a beta demo for a game.
Yeah. It's
But
actually,
we'll probably get more into it when it actually comes out. But for the time being, yeah, it's a pretty cool little trailer, and y'all should go check it out.
yeah,
For
it's
reals.
interesting. It definitely has that like the spine tingly trailer thing, which they always try and put in every single trailer ever.
Yeah.
Not just Silly Frisbees, like in general when people make
The
trailers.
story
and they did a
itself
good
for
job.
that, I was just saying, the story itself for that actually does look interesting as well. But
I want to know where
like
it
I
goes.
said, yeah, same here. The thing that bugs me though, like I said, it was the aesthetics and everything, and the lighting, the beautiful, the contrast, just the animation when they get animated characters, it's a bit more choppy.
Yeah. It's
You start to notice it. It stands out so much from the background though.
Indeed.
yeah. The background is just kind of empty. I think they're probably going to put a background in because it said they were in his inner sanctum. So I don't think his inner sanctum is just a purple darkness.
If
Yeah.
it is.
Well, it could be like the inner sanctum of his mind.
Yeah. Well, then
Wait,
why
I
did they
thought
go in
that-
there? Surely they would know that they were outmatched if they go into someone else's mind to
Well,
fight.
no, they didn't choose to go in there. They're all like, oh, there he goes. Let's follow him. Then they go into the thing, and they're like, oh, we have to get through this door. Let's kick down the door. But then
Right.
suddenly, bam, they're inside Sombra's own mind.
That's
And
why
that's
you've
how
got
it
to use
evens
prior
out, because
planning.
Sombra can't beat them one-on-one. But, inside his brain, he is like a god. I mean, you ever read Scott Pilgrim versus the World? Gideon Graves, inside his mind, friggin' god. Outside his brain, not actually so tough.
Yeah, inside Sandpine's mind in Gravity Falls. Oh no, wait, that was Bill Cipher. Anyways,
Anyway, so point is, kind of cool animation, but I'm pretty sure we can't actually judge it too harshly or give it too much praise until it's actually come out.
Yeah. I'll say it looks interesting, and the animation looks good, but
Yeah, don't forget, Lightning Rabbit, that you were the one who was going like, man, Double Rainbow looks amazing because of the pre-release footage they showed, and you were the first person to say after it came out, God, I hate everything after that pre-release footage. You have
I can't
continued to be
remember
the
whether I
person who
did
hates
like
it more than anyone else.
I can't
What
remember
about
if I
pizza?
did. I can't remember whether I did like it or not.
You did. You said that you liked, like, even during our episode where we did is entirely about Double Rainbow. You talked about how much you liked the everything up until the Powerpuff Girls crossover thing when you saw it originally at a convention.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to the convention. I saw it on like.
Oh no, well you saw it from the convention stream.
It's just. I think. Well. I
Oh, he
definitely
does
changed
think
my mind
it's good.
about it
Yeah, no,
think-
you definitely have since then, but like, my point is not that it actually was good or that you can't change your mind. My point is just be careful about giving too much praise to something you haven't seen its entirety yet.
Yeah, it's not so much. I mean, obviously, it can go either way. Mass Effect 3 and stuff, but Silly Philly Studios so far has come out consistently
awesome,
with very
yeah.
good stuff, as opposed to Zachary, who came out with one thing after ages of hype, and then it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So
Firebolt,
It's
are you even here?
I am
I'm here, I'm
prejudging it
just-
slightly, but
He just laughs. He's clearly here.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if we keep making fun of him, will he like keep laughing?
Possibly.
I don't know.
Like,
Also,
could
by
And
the way,
speaking of things that got a ton of hype and were not very good,
mm,
who else here saw Button Mash or Button Mash's Adventures Episode 0 or whatever he's calling it?
It's,
The
it's
pilot
called a
episode,
pilot.
yeah.
It's
No,
before,
hold on a second. What do you
What
mean not
episode?
very good? It was excellent.
It
In
was
terms
all
of
right.
what?
It was good animation, bad story, funny voice
Well, the
acting.
thing is, that there wasn't
Whoa,
a
whoa,
story.
that
The
story,
whole
it was-
audition, the whole
There's no
audition,
story in it.
It was a very weird kind of.
It's not a story. The whole idea behind
it's,
adventures is that it's just a bunch of just different random clips. Like
Yeah, but the thing is, it's based in the universe of the Ask the Crusaders Tumblr,
Yes.
well, yeah.
which has a terrible story.
I can't remember. What,
Which
what one was the story?
It's
Tumblr
it's
didn't
the
have
one-
a story.
Tumblrs have stories. Like Tumblr
Yeah, they do.
Moonstuck was a Tumblr with a story.
I mean, because Astro
Tumblr
Crusaders has
It has not the Death Cruise
Little Miss
was
Rarity has a story,
expressly
too.
meant to be a story.
yeah, it has VDC, which is really good.
No, it wasn't. It was all
Okay,
right.
so that's
It was
yours.
really-
I found it
decent,
interesting and
yeah, fell apart.
entertaining, but story,
Mm.
I don't know. It was the story is meh on that, but I did find it entertaining and enjoyable nonetheless.
Oh, yeah, it was entertaining.
I don't know. I think he's always kind of suffered from the problem of having not a.
You just don't like Jan in the first place. So
I
there's a
like-
problem there.
Jan's animation.
He's Italian. How
like
could you not like him?
Jan's storytelling style, and I don't like the fact that he made an OC. Well, he didn't make an OC. Technically, Button Mash is not an OC,
Right.
but he took Button Mash and basically turned him into a self-insert, which was kind of weird, and continues to get weirder as he continues to make him more and more of an insert. Like, if you look at Button Mash's character development over the course of the Tumblr and into this animation, he has become more and more kiddie version of Jan himself.
No, I wouldn't know.
And the fact that he then ships Button with Sweetie Belle is more than a little on the creepy side.
That's just because you like Sweetie Belle as a character.
I don't like her like that, and I
Well,
get
that's-
the weird feeling that
That's why I said as a character, because I suddenly realised, like, now you're going to think that I mean you like Sweetie Belle. And I was like, no, that's not the case.
no, that's what makes it creepy. The fact that he not the fact that he likes Sweetie Belle, because I don't understand anyone who doesn't like Sweetie Belle. Sweetie Belle's awesome. But the fact that he basically create a self-insert character of himself that's 5 years younger than or 10 years younger than him, and then
He's
shipped
older
it with a
than that.
kid, who's voice acted by a kid, that comes up with really creepy vibes.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, on that subject,
I think you're putting too much thought into this. It's the little kid's
Specifically,
animation.
specifically Button Mash's things, story-wise, like, I kind of agree with the fact that it didn't really have a story. It was a slightly weird character introductory slice of life, but kind of confusing thing.
Yeah, it was more
I'm
of
sure
a
it'll improve with the actual, like, if the actual episodes air, because the pilot wasn't really much to go off of, but
Not really, but I do kind of agree. It did seem like something that just introduces the character and, I guess, possible adventures he would go on.
Mm.
Like, going to your parents' bedroom and getting a mustache. That's an adventure on its own right there.
I'll give it a chance. It's not like...
Well,
I
same
don't
here.
know, it could go either way.
I mean, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about animations today, aren't we?
Well, that's part of the animation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's part of the animation.
Jan
definitely,
is famous more for his animations than his Tumblr. His Tumblr is definitely very well known, but it always has been kind of overshadowed by the fact that it is Jan Animations Ask Tumblr.
Mm.
Yeah.
Incidentally, just to go on a callback to the True Tale thing, one thing I don't agree with at all is the fact that the land, like the country or wherever it is that this is set
The
in,
land.
is called Split Paw, which is just not very creative.
A
Oh,
shadow
wait,
over
that's-
Split.
oh,
It's just not very interesting. Like, you could have gone with something more interesting, but anyway.
people are messaging me.
I know.
Ignore them.
They're messaging me too.
All right, we're almost
But
done anyway.
The chat is ready, aim, scoot, and I don't know what that means.
Ignore it.
What?
It's probably irrelevant. Probably.
You're irrelevant.
Right,
You're
Smile
irrelevant.
HD.
You're an
Everything's
elephant.
relevant.
You're
No
an
one's an
elephant.
elephant.
I'm an effalump.
No, you're not.
Hey, you know what else is kind of bizarre and mildly disturbing and full of things that
Oh,
Oh.
goat cheese.
creepy?
What?
Cupcakes HD. Man, that video was weird.
You mean Smile HD?
Are you talking about
No,
Cupcakes or
Cupcakes
Smile?
HD. God, that was just freaking
What
freaked
about
up.
Smile
Cupcakes,
HD?
I
Oh, yeah,
actually
yeah, and the guy.
like it to some degree because what it does, I think it captures the story much better than the actual story did.
Yes,
It did better
does
at
do
creating a comical, dark mood than the story actually did, and it makes more sense because she died right away when her organs were taken out, and like the story.
Well, except when she starts dancing at the end with all of her organs removed.
Well, yeah, but again, the comicalness. They did a good job by the creepy, comical, dark mood.
Yeah,
that
which
the
actually,
story
I
was
think,
supposed to
yeah,
create.
that animation actually kind of helped propel Cupcakes further than naturally would have gone.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and the
Now-
funny thing about about Cupcakes and is not just going into the animation. The fact that this was God probably a good 2 years ago now that this
Yeah,
thing
it
was out.
very early.
This was before the whole Andrew WK thing was revealed that he liked the show and had identified himself with Pinkie Pie, and they happened to use a song
Yeah,
that
by
he
Andrew
did
WK.
in that animation.
Yeah, Get Ready to Die.
Yeah.
And now, once again, they've come out with another video, another good song being played over another extremely gory.
Isn't it Living Tombstone's remix of
I think it's.
Smile?
I
No,
think-
it's Fuzog's.
it's
Fuzog's.
It's Fuzog's remix.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's Fuzog's remix of Smile, and it's Pinky as once again, Psycho Pinky, murdering
She's
all of her
just
friends.
smiling
supposed
and
to distract.
happy.
Well,
I
no,
will say
here's,
something- okay.
here's the thing, and I've gotta say this is that I give it props because first of all, the animation's good.
The animation is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
really well done.
very well done.
Although,
And secondly, you look at Cupcakes and you say, okay, well, it's Rainbow Dash being dissected by Pinkie Pie. There's not much there. Whereas the what they do with Smile is that it's literally a epic fight scene.
not really. It's not really a fight until Fluttershy gets there.
It's almost like Dragon Ball Z style at the end there.
Yeah.
That was the intention. Yes.
And it's actually a lot more enjoyable than Cupcakes was.
Depending on what you're looking for, but yeah, I'd definitely say that it's a more action-packed thrill ride. It's got some extremely decent fight choreography,
Yeah,
animation.
that and the fact that it was really unexpected from the beginning if you've never
Well,
seen
yeah.
it before.
If
Also,
you
I
don't
wanna
know who
point out-
Master Dave is, then yeah, it's pretty unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really know
It's
who
very
it was, but
visually impressive, I have to say.
Or
But,
Mr. Dave.
I want to point out at the beginning when you saw Pinky running towards Twilight and Friends and they're waving, and you see Pinky from the back of her head angle. That is now an angle that exists in the My Little Pony universe. And what bugged me the most was the tail. If you guys noticed, it was just flat.
Yeah, I did notice that actually. When she's
It
running.
bugged me.
Yeah, when
I'm
she's
like, it's
running
flat.
away from the
I didn't
camera.
even think about that.
You mean when she's
But,
running away from the camera towards like?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different other scenes as well that have a flat angle other than just the tail scenes. But I think
Yeah.
there's a couple others that have that. But
Interestingly, like there's a number of points where like he has little bits of weirdnesses in the animations in terms of things like the tail angles and stuff, and yet it's not that the guy's lazy or that the guy doesn't put effort into his details, because the thing is, there are a ton of not even blanket you'll miss it, but like you have to pause the video and look
Yeah.
at individual frames, and you'll see jokes that are inserted into individual frames.
Yeah.
Like there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
series of like the fight scene bit where Fluttershy is spinning around being the sherry tote of Pinky. If you freeze frame it and look between the frames, you can actually see the frames where they're facing directly head onto the camera. They're both smiling. They both
Yeah,
have like
it's
these
when
big
they go
old
into that little
friendly
loop
grins.
thing. It's when
Yeah.
they go into that little rolling loop.
yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that's like you literally can't see that in the actual animation. Like the
No,
human eye
because
can't
it's-
follow that.
Mm.
But if you
Yeah, because-
freeze it, go frame by frame, you will see this. It's like the level of detail is madness.
There's
Yeah,
a very kind of attention to detail aspect to it.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
very well done animation. Is it 24 frames a second?
Looks to be, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know because obviously it's uploaded to YouTube, so it could be anything now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It could
probably
be
not
30,
even-
24. I mean, even some of the animations are 18. So
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is that he definitely like.
Fan Final Philosophy is like 3.
Yeah, attention to detail. That's okay. Attention to detail is something that it's important because it shows that you care, I guess.
Yeah.
Old Davy, as I'm going to call him now, and
Old Davy.
yeah,
I
Children
don't
of
think
the.
he's that old.
Well, he put various little kind of fun Easter egg type things in his animation. Children of the Night is just a ridiculous level of, the backgrounds and everything are all look to be painted digitally by hand, sort of thing. There's a ridiculous amount of detail in that. Not Button Mash's thing, but the
Children of the
Picture
Night.
Perfect Pony thing that
Oh, that, yeah.
Jan Animations did. There was a lot of background detail, like show
there
levels of
definitely
background
was.
detail in every single shot and scene. So
That's what I really enjoy the most. Background detail is my favorite thing because the
think-
background really creates the mood and scenery. If you don't have attention to detail in the background, then it just ruins some of the scenes. Well, depending, obviously. I mean, Looney Tunes are a scene where Daffy Duck was on an all-white page, but that's different.
Well, I'd be willing to say that probably that is what separates. Like, it's one of the big separating factors between the men and the boys, if you will,
Oh, it definitely
in
is.
animation. Because the people who, whether it's because they like have the time or they're just better animators or whatever, if they put that much detail into the backgrounds, that's the thing that you notice. You think, oh, they
Yeah.
put a ridiculous amount of detail into this, so
I
this
mean-
is really visually stunning.
Yeah, what background details are, I mean, it's similar to sound effects in movies and everything. All the sound editing goes into it because a lot of the fight scenes in a lot of movies, if you're actually there on set when they're doing a fight scene, it is boring. Because, I mean, yeah, you're seeing all the action in front of you, but you're hearing all the noises of sometimes people shouting or, I mean, the people hitting. There's nothing going on. Sound is what creates the whole mood and the atmosphere of the thing. It creates the music, it adds in the louder sound effects. So when you hit someone, it doesn't sound like it does in a movie. It doesn't really sound like much at all, actually, depending where you hit them.
Yeah, if you've ever been on set on like an action scene, or if you've ever, hung out with people who do like fencing or, even like people who do LARP hardcore, you'll see, when people actually get down to really fighting one another, it's really like it can actually be pretty fast and fairly intense, but like at best, it's going to be about 30 seconds of extremely fast-paced movement, and then it's over.
Yeah,
Or it's going
there's
to
not
be
a lot of
about
sound that goes
like
on.
5 minutes of people running backwards and forwards trying to get on a good position.
And that's the thing that
Yeah.
films. Sorry,
Yeah.
what did you think? Go
I
ahead.
just it's like that's the thing. Like films are designed to make
Over the top stuff.
scenes
It's
look
designed to be that way.
Actually,
that's what we notice.
One thing that I always like to point out is a lot of people, especially here in the U.S., love, there's a lot of love for the katana in,
Yes.
between a lot of people like Japan a lot. A lot of people really like, I don't personally, but I know a lot of people like anime.
Yeah, we know your
And
views on
a
anime.
very classic, thing in all that stuff is the katana. It's the traditional Japanese sword. There are a lot of other swords in Japan that are actually not katanas, and many of them are actually better than
Oh, there's
katanas
a
in a
ton
lot
of
of ways.
them. Yeah.
But katanas are iconic.
Exactly.
And-
it's like when you hear of America, like what's the most iconic thing you think of, Lightning?
Cheeseburgers going into wars for oil.
Actually, no, here's the thing: if you're thinking
Political
American
corruption.
weapons,
What?
you're probably thinking of a revolver.
Yeah.
Well, the M4A4 that's not the carbine, is it? Yeah, it might be the carbine.
I guess that, but like you're thinking like American action movies and stuff. You're thinking like a revolver.
Yeah, if you
maybe a
every
pistol.
single Western, they have a fancy hat, which is often a Stetson,
and badass
have,
American characters will like
have a
carry like a
poncho
revolver of some sort.
and a
Like,
revolver.
like police detectives have a revolver. Characters in action films will pull out, like if they have a choice of a pistol or revolver, they'll usually whip out the revolver because the revolver is just cool.
Mm.
It is just cool.
Also,
actually.
it's
They
got a
were
higher
actually very
caliber,
good
but that's not
weapons
the
too.
point.
And pistols in general. Like pistols are nowhere near as effective as other weapons, but our heroes always go for the pistols because they're iconic.
Exactly.
Here's the thing about and like
Well, they're
pistols
easy to
are
conceal as well, so it makes it believable.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, as well, but here's the thing, like, as much as pistols are cool and that's why we use them, they're not really practical. Similarly, katanas are not a very practical weapon.
No.
They break easily, they're really hard to make.
Yeah, they're not meant for actual sword-to-sword fighting in some ways. They're meant for a quick and easy kill for the
Yeah,
most
they're
part.
actually very much not designed for sword fighting. Like, one thing that if you ever actually have practiced with a katana or, like, know someone who has ever used a katana, one thing they tell you is the only place you should ever block with a katana is near the hilt. Because
Exactly,
that's where
'cause
the
it's
skill
stronger.
is strongest and where
Don't
it
cross
won't
the streams.
break. So, all those movies where like characters are like smacking their katanas back and forth, that's ridiculous. That is
Yeah, they
not
wouldn't
real
be doing
purpose.
that.
Yeah.
Because you
One
break
of the
both
most
the katana.
a scene that's considered, and like I'm all bringing this back to one point. When you're talking about like super realistic fighting and stuff, probably the most realistic, like was considered the most realistic katana duel and one of the most realistic sword duels ever shown on film is from Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai.
Oh,
There's a
that one.
scene
Yeah, I've
in
heard a
that.
lot about it.
Oh my god, that movie's so good. But
I
there's
haven't seen it.
There's a scene in that where a sword master, like a swordsman, like a really expert swordsman, is cutting wood, and a drunkard, starts insulting him and basically going like, "Oh, I'd kick your ass in a fight." So he and the drunkard, take a pair of sticks, like a pair of wooden swords, and attack each other. And it looks like they tied, and the guy's like, "Oh well, I guess we're evenly matched." And the sword master's like, "No, those have been actual metals. I would have killed you." The guy's like, "Well, screw you, buddy. I'm going to, prove that I'm better than you." So they both pull out swords. This
They're
whole
both
scene,
katanas.
both duels are, this is all shown in about 5 minutes. The actual duel, from the moment the two characters draw their swords, is about a minute long. Basically, the entire scene is they both draw. They're standing about 20 paces from one another. Then they both charge. The swordmaster swings low. The angry man swings high. Both of them, look like they hit about the same point. And then the drunkard dies.
Yeah,
the
basically.
fight is over in one move after about a minute of both people moving around to try and get into a good position and trying to judge their opponent. And that's considered, by experts, one of the most realistic, if not the most realistic, katana duel.
Yeah, exactly.
In film
and
history.
That's like we said, what the katana is built for. It's light, it's easy to use, and it's quick for a kill. It's not built for a sword fight. If you want to do a sword fight, go to the medieval times.
Yeah, and even in medieval times, like you generally don't, like people wouldn't bash their swords against one another too much. Like you definitely had more of that because you were better armored, you had better quality swords.
Exactly.
You had more, but that's not how fighting works. But that's how fighting looks cool, and that's what's important.
It's in film and even in animation, which I'll draw back to because I had a point here. Because what it is over the top things are what attracts our attention. A lot of detail in the background is what we go for. A lot of extra audio in the sound. Like I said, they add in all the punches, all the music, all the extra panting and breathing from the characters and everything. All of that is added in to draw our attention more, to make it more attractive. That's what the detail in the background is. If you notice, I don't know if anyone watching this or if anyone's still watching it. If you're still watching this, the magic word is katana. Write that down below.
No, don't write katana. I don't want to see more katanas being mentioned.
But what I was saying though, if any of you have ever seen my drawings, I put a lot of attention detail in my background scenes. I love detailing backgrounds. It's what I tend to do. I love drawing people's attention in there because it's like looking at the comics. If you've seen the My Little Pony comics, the background detail with Andy Price's work, you're just looking through the background like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at this. Luna's wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty detailed.
Andy Price is the comic master. I would.
Yeah, I actually think we are not just about out of time. I think we are actually 100% out of time.
Okay.
So yeah, for basically just deciding to talk about a bunch of animations because our guest wasn't able to join us this week, I think we've acquitted ourselves quite well.
I don't think we have at all. I think we only spent the first good 5 minutes, 2 minutes in the middle, 4 minutes after that, and this end bit.
all I was going to say as an ending thing for films was that they're kind of, well, it goes without saying that they're designed to be larger than life. I was watching The Lorax recently for some weird reason,
Oh, jeez.
and the musical number, when you listen to that in the film, and then when you listen to it from the original soundtrack, you can hear the visible difference between all of the sound effects that they put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
There's such a thing as going
ridiculous.
over the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go over the top. You
Well, I
can
mean,
go over
like-
the top hard.
Well, it's ridiculous the amount of detail they put into it. You can go over the top, but it's just that's a good example of how much they put into stuff that you don't
Exactly.
even realize. It's
Calling
the
it
like,
a
most subtle of things.
Good example is probably stretching it, since saying anything about the Lorax is good.
Well, when I say, I don't mean good as in it's. What I mean is, it's a good example because it's very visible. You can see the difference
no,
very
I know.
clearly. But you know,
All right. Anyway, people, it's good that you all came and listened to our stuff.
no, it's not.
Yep.
We'll
the new
hopefully.
magic word is revolver.
All right, the new magic word is revolver.
She lasted this long.
Oh yeah, so yeah,
Mr.
here's
West.
the thing: if you didn't listen to the whole podcast and just decided to write down katana when we told you to write down katana in the first place, haha, fooled you.
Fooled you. The real magic word is revolver. Aha.
Does anyone-
Actually, I'm really curious how many people put down katana and then like reply to their own mentioned katana with
Does
wait,
anyone-
no, revolver.
Does anyone
no,
ever
revolver.
actually put down like?
Yes. If you go back
Yeah.
to our older podcast, people are still putting down Ibanez, or I think the other one was Banana.
Also, put
I
down
think those are the most
Wobniar.
commented things on those videos.
Put down Wobniar because that's
Wobniar. No.
Yeah,
I put that. I
no,
put that
no.
down in the Pinky in the Brain video, and I got the most liked thing. But anyways,
Oh lordy. Okay, look, we'll see you guys next week.
Please get a
Hopefully with
life.
some big news, but maybe not.
We don't have.
We don't
news.
know. We'll figure out.
It's only if
Hopefully
I edit the thing.
bye bye.
Goodbye, farewell, auf Wiedersehen.
I
See
like
you
the
later.
Basil and the Great Mouse Detective animation.
So
That-
Duhad is leaving now. Oh, goodbye. So soon.
Okay, yeah, we can stop now.
Oh, thank God. Okay, well, we're done.